Everywhere, the rebellion has started. People are standing up and vehemently and resolutely defending you. They're not simply angry. They're disgusted by the obvious disrespect you've received. They've had enough of standing by and watching you get hit. The breaking point has arrived. This is a huge movement of strong allies standing firmly, shoulders back, and prepared to fight. This is not some small-scale support. Not only is the tide shifting, but defenders who will not remain silent are flooding the scene, with a power so deep that the builders of deceit can feel it in their bones. The ground beneath your feet trembles. What you're seeing is a cosmic awakening, not merely a change. They attempted to isolate you in order to give you the impression that you were the only one standing up to their machinery of lies. But now, look about you. Legends are standing up for you, and their voices are making a loud chorus that reverberates throughout both visible and invisible realms. The defenders arrive as thunderous statements that rock the very foundations of the corrupt empire that was established against you, not as shy murmurs. These defenders didn't just show up, they did so because the truth can't be buried forever. It rises to the surface like magma beneath the crust of the earth and erupts with unstoppable fury. The webs of lies that have been woven around your life are now being burned away by your tale, your truth, which has evolved into that eruption. Without a doubt, your adversaries used every weapon in their dark collection against you. They anticipated that once you were released with surgical precision, you would shatter and vanish into the shadows they created. Rather, their assaults have turned into the very trigger that roused your defenders. Those who see behind the curtain have become more determined as a result of every blow dealt to you. This is aggressive protection, not simply support. This is a statement that the traditional manipulative games will no longer be tolerated. Your defenders aren't just speaking up, they're taking a stance, putting their feet firmly on the battlefield your adversaries established, and not moving an inch. Now the conflict they initiated is coming back to them, not because of you, but because of the combined strength of everyone who would not stand by and watch injustice go unchecked. With every second that goes by, the legions of truth seekers expand, their numbers growing as more people become aware of the obvious corruption that was directed at you. The scales have gone from their eyes. People who were previously on the sidelines, unsure of what to believe, can now clearly see how the system was set up to work against you from the beginning. It is impossible to perceive what is visible beneath the raised veil. Your adversaries constructed their stories with a sense of superiority, thinking that their power would never be challenged. However, they underestimated the impact of genuine truth. They failed to anticipate how obvious their manipulations would appear when they were examined by people who were no longer prepared to believe pre-packaged lies. Instead of the skepticism your detractors attempted to foster, your name is now spoken with veneration everywhere. The murmurs of skepticism have become cries of encouragement. The people who planned your trial by fire are now the target of the same inquiries that were previously aimed at you. Dare they? These comments reverberate throughout discussions on many platforms and at both small and large gatherings. How dare they alter our perception? How dare they create fictitious worlds? They have no right to try to ruin someone whose only transgression was to obstruct them. Every well-crafted story your opponents have pushed into the world is consumed by the blazing inferno that is the disgust spreading like wildfire. In situations where your name is invoked, people who have never met you personally now fiercely defend you. They are able to identify the signs of corruption because they have seen enough proof of the organized effort against you. They don't just admit the unfairness, they actively fight it wherever it appears, whether it be through slander, lies, or attempts at character assassination. This is true even though people who formerly doubted are now corrected, their skepticism turned into fervent advocacy. Defenders are putting up an extraordinary fight against all of it, refusing to allow such techniques to continue unchecked. See them scurry, see the fear in their eyes as they become aware that their hold is slipping. The story they once dominated with iron fists now eludes them like sand, lost to the winds of truth and never to be recovered. Each attempt to regain control simply serves to expose them further. Their claims become more pathetic, inconsistent, and manipulatively obvious. Even the most casual observer now finds the strategies that earlier operated flawlessly to be awkward and clear. Even when the emperor is nude, he's still talking about the ornate garments that none else can see. They think they are in control of reality and can manipulate perception as they like. They now learn that truth can arise without permission, and that reality has no master. Their desperate attempt to gain control turns into the very thing that shows how they are falling apart. Observe how their charges become more ludicrous and less credible every day, and how their voices become softer. This is the very essence of desperation, not strategy. This is the final stages of a power structure that was established on sand foundations and is currently being washed away by the tidal surge of consciousness awakening. Their mass distraction weapons are no longer effective. Before they can completely develop, the smoke screens they use to deflect criticism of their behavior dissipate. The platforms they dominate, the channels they control, the algorithms they manipulate, all turn against them. If your heart overflows with God's blessings, let that love shine. Click the super thank you button and give $20 or more to plant seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your generosity reflects His abundance. Be a vessel of His grace and watch His kingdom flourish through you. They meet behind closed doors, desperate to find answers to a dilemma they never expected. The problem of truth becoming more compelling than their fiction against them. As the collective awareness rises beyond their control, they invest heavily in new control strategies, stories, and attacks, only to see each one fall apart even more dramatically than the last. They are terrified of this loss of control. Do you feel their fear? It emanates from every last-ditch effort to stop the rising chorus of people standing up for you, every conflicting word, and every desperate action. They strike out not out of strength, but because they understand that their authority was always a delusion that was upheld by a group consensus that is now quickly breaking down. These individuals are not merely apathetic sympathizers. Rather, they are warriors of truth who have scrutinized the available data, observed the injustice, and willingly decided to defend you no matter the cost. They transcend the fabricated divisions your adversaries attempted to uphold and come from all walks of life. Their shared understanding that what happened to you is a basic injustice that demands an answer unites them across generations, backgrounds, and ideologies. Observe their deliberate and accurate movements. When lies surface, they don't just disagree with them, they disprove them using facts, proof, and reason that prevents the manipulation from taking hold. They can recognize every strategy before it is fully implemented because they have studied the playbook that was used against you. These defenders are skilled on the battlefield. Authors produce gripping exposés that show the truth behind the charges. Researchers find links that show how well-planned the attacks were, and speakers appeal to audiences, influencing them to pursue justice. Through the most potent network in existence, human connection, ordinary folks have discussions that raise awareness. Their strength comes from a love of truth rather than a hatred of your adversaries. They gain endurance from this that your opponents cannot understand. Truth-based systems just need to endure, knowing that reality will always win out. But deceptive systems need ongoing upkeep to prevent collapsing. Despite being threatened, mocked, and having their voices silenced, your fans remain unfazed. As spectators realize the desperation underlying such efforts, every attack they face simply serves to strengthen their position, to confirm that they have discovered a truth so dangerous that the number of forces organized to repress it only increases. The tables have flipped so spectacularly that your adversaries are now facing the very publicity they planned for you. However, in contrast to their staged operations, this revelation exposes real corruption, real manipulation, and real abuses of power that are no longer able to remain hidden. Their legitimacy vanishes in the public eye, and the organizations they used as weapons are now subjected to scrutiny so severe that the weight of public attention causes their foundations to crumble. For whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. Galatians 6:7. Imagine a mighty tree standing in the center of a grand field. It has been there for generations, towering above all, its roots wrapped deep in the soil of deception, watered by the arrogance of those who believed they were beyond judgment. They stood under its shade, believing it would shelter them forever, believing its fruit would always be theirs to consume. But the winds have shifted. The earth beneath it trembles. The tree is rotting from the inside out, its branches cracking, its leaves withering. It was never meant to last. And now, the ones who once stood in its shade, who gathered under it with smug certainty, who built their thrones beneath its branches, they scatter. Because when a tree planted in corruption begins to fall, no one wants to be crushed beneath it. The authority they once carried like an unshakable crown is slipping. The institutions that once backed them hesitate, reluctant to go down with ships that are taking on water faster than anyone ever imagined. Those who crafted the blueprint for your destruction are now confronted with questions they cannot answer. Their words falter, their voices crack, their well-rehearsed defenses crumble into incoherence. The mighty architects of deception are fumbling, reaching for explanations that no longer satisfy even their most loyal followers. You are here for a reason. If you feel the call, answer it. Click Join to unlock exclusive content, deep insights, and a powerful community. This isn't just a membership, it's an awakening. Step into your divine purpose. Join the chosen. When evidence of their collaboration is laid bare, they scramble behind walls of legal jargon, desperate to protect themselves, not their integrity, not their standing, not their influence. The law can shield their bodies, but it cannot redeem their names. And when the consequences of their schemes come knocking, they point fingers in every direction, but inward. Accountability terrifies them because they know, deep down, they are the only ones to blame. This is justice unfolding, not by human hands, but by divine orchestration. The universe itself has turned the tables, and the very machinery they built to break you is now grinding against them. They set the standards by which they sought to judge you, but those same standards are now being used to measure them. The spotlight they once controlled, the platforms they once dictated, the narratives they once steered, all slipping from their grasp, all exposing them to the scrutiny they never imagined they would face. The organizations that once stood beside them, that once celebrated their words and amplified their voices, now quietly pull away, conducting silent reviews, issuing careful statements, creating distance from the toxicity they once endorsed. The faces that once looked upon them with admiration now gaze upon them with something colder, something heavier: disillusionment, disappointment, disgust. And the platforms they relied upon, the channels that carried their influence, the networks that amplified their presence, those too have turned, not by force, not by censorship, but by the very rules they helped write. The gates they locked to keep others out have become the barriers that keep them contained. Their reach, once vast, once unstoppable, is now reduced to scattered voices speaking into an ever emptier void. Their presence shrinks, their audience dwindles, the crowds that once flocked to hear them now thin to pockets of stragglers, to remnants of those too stubborn to see what has become so clear. And oh, how they rage, how they grasp, how they claw at the fading remnants of their former power. Their outbursts grow more erratic, their words more desperate, their pleas more hollow. Because deep down, they feel it, the inevitable, the irreversible, the undeniable. The season has changed. The tree is falling, and there is no stopping it now. They thought they were untouchable. They thought their control was eternal. They thought their voices would never lose power. But the mighty do not fall by accident. They fall because the weight of their own deeds pulls them down. They fall because justice, true justice, is patient but never absent. And while they flail, while they fight, while they try in vain to rebuild what is crumbling beneath them, you, yes, you, stand firm, unmoved, unshaken. You were never meant to be buried by their lies. You were never meant to be crushed by their schemes. You were never meant to fall with them. You are the seed that was planted in good soil. You are the tree whose roots run deep in truth. And while their branches break, while their leaves wither, while their fruit turns bitter, you grow, you flourish, you rise. They built a fortress on sand, and the tide is rolling in. Let them panic. Let them scramble. Let them feel the weight of what they have done. Because in the end, the harvest always comes, and the only thing left to reap is what they have sown. Your adversaries attempted to elevate themselves beyond cause and effect, natural law, and the basic reality that all energy eventually returns threefold to the cosmos. Now, unable to stop what they started, they must deal with the karmic tsunami that their actions have caused. Observe how seemingly unrelated occurrences come together to reveal what was concealed. Unexpected sources of information might reveal information. At pivotal times, witnesses discover the confidence to speak up. Technology records information that was previously believed to be safely hidden, and anonymous sources put everything on the line to guarantee that the truth is revealed. This is synchronicity at work with surgical precision. Nothing happens by accident. The development of divine justice doesn't follow human schedules. It has a purpose that goes beyond our narrow viewpoint, addressing not only outward signs, but also underlying causes, not just present participants, but entire systems that made their rise possible. This is more than just a fix. It's a change your adversaries could never have envisioned. They sense it, the change in the cosmic current, the protection they had before as global forces pulled back from schemes based on dishonesty, the abrupt depletion of the luck that had kept them one step ahead of the repercussions. Coincidences that once let them escape now work just as hard to expose them. Once this process has begun, no earthly force can stop it. No riches can buy exemption. No connection can offer refuge, and no plan can outsmart the basic balance that is taking place. What was meant to fall will fall. What was concealed will come to light, and what was constructed on falsehoods will crumble, creating room for structures based on reality. The greatest triumph is achieved by standing firmly in your convictions so that reality itself supports you, not by using force. You stayed focused on authenticity, which doesn't need upkeep, coordination, or continual reinforcement to withstand inspection, while your adversaries spent all of their energy creating complex lies. Since real truth speaks with an authority that fake stories can never match, you never had to create counter-narratives. Authenticity resonates in ways that calculated message cannot. It affects the soul, instead of just taking up mental space. Your patience showed confidence, while their frenetic activity betrayed a security that no external success could ever cover. Your consistency stood as witness when their shifting positions indicated manipulation, and your silence spoke volumes where their unending words made only noise. You are here for a reason. If you feel the call, answer it. Click join to unlock exclusive content, deep insights, and a powerful community. This isn't just a membership, it's an awakening. Step into your divine purpose. Join the chosen. The defenders who now represent you understood something your adversaries could never understand. True power is revealed through perseverance rather than loudness. They saw how resilient you were in the face of adversity that would have crushed weaker people, and they were inspired to join the rising chorus. Victory is not the destruction of your adversary, but their insignificance. It is not punishment, but a natural outcome. It is not retribution, but the re-establishment of equilibrium that benefits everyone but those who benefited from its absence. This triumph leaves only clarity that shows the way forward. No residual animosity, no sour aftertaste, and no basis for more confrontation. The masses who formerly accepted the stories about you are now doubting all they were told. The people who helped spread lies are now facing up to their roles in sustaining injustice. Now the systems that made it easier for you to be targeted are examined, exposing their susceptibility to manipulation. You have triumphed by just being outside of the personas they attempted to impose upon you, by carrying on creating while they sought to demolish, by advancing while they were still obsessed with destroying you. Believing that truth doesn't require a complex defense when lies eventually crumble under their own weight enables you to surround yourself with not just supporters, but a single tribe, people who are united, not just by a shared goal, but also by a resonance that goes beyond simple alliance. There is a waking recognition that goes beyond mere intellectual agreement. These are souls who see something in you that calls to something in them. They protect you not out of duty, but only because they understand that the attack on you is an attack on truth and possibilities. Your presence is an attack on futures, and your voice aids in their manifestation. Because it is in line with their own highest purpose, they stand with you. Your soul tribe offers more than just numbers. Each member contributes special skills, viewpoints, and assets that come together to form a defense stronger than any one hero could muster. Some write, while others speak. Some conduct study, while others plan. Some produce, while others guard. They work together to create a support system that naturally adjusts to every new obstacle. Take note of the synchronization with which they function, which implies cooperation but does not necessitate a central command. They react to events so quickly and accurately that your opponents are baffled by how a successful answer may arise without the hierarchical control they themselves need. Unlike traditional alliances that break under duress, this soul tribe gets stronger with every obstacle. Instead of isolating you, the difficulty creates bonds of unheard-of strength among individuals who understand the importance of what happens. These linkages build networks that function partially through consciousness itself and partially on visible planes, making them more durable than your adversaries could have imagined. They perceive in you traits that are worthy of defense, bravery that motivates them to be true themselves, and a vision that opens doors beyond present constraints. Their defense of you also serves as their defense of these attributes within themselves, strengthening both parties in the process. Because of their transactional perspective, which only acknowledges relationships based on mutual benefit, your enemies are unable to understand this bond. They are unable to imagine a bond based on an understanding of a common goal that goes beyond personal benefit. As they consistently undervalue the resiliency of the support system around you, this blind spot turns into a critical weakness. Now is the time when everything changes. The point at which the change becomes so clear that even those who resisted it have to admit it happened. Those who profited from earlier circumstances cannot undo the tipping moment at which individual awakenings combine to form collective consciousness. Your power was only momentarily hidden by smoke and mirrors that gave the appearance of weakness, never truly weakened. What comes out of that smoke is stronger than it was before, honed by fire that eats away at everything but the most important truth, and tempered by hardships that would have destroyed weaker foundations. The attacks intended to define you have instead exposed you, not as your adversaries portrayed you, but as a resilient person whose purpose transcends attempts at limiting, whose effect goes beyond areas they try to deny you, and whose resilience beyond ordinary explanation. Because of their unrelenting concentration on removing what they could not control, you end up reaching audiences they unintentionally created. Now see how everything they constructed against you is now being used to your advantage. Their attention shifts from criticism to admiration, and the forums they used to criticize others become into places where they may be vindicated. No matter what resources are used to uphold previous myths, the energy they put into your downfall now drives your climb. This is a paradigm change that impacts everyone who sees it, not just those who are personally transformed. When enough consciousness aligns with greater truth, systems that were once assumed to be invincible can be transcended, as your journey serves as a pattern for others encountering similar opposition. Your adversaries thought they authored your story's conclusion. They congratulated themselves on laying out your demise so meticulously that it seemed impossible to turn things around. But here you are, at the start of chapters they never saw coming, with allies they never thought of, poised for influence they cannot fathom, from paradigms that constrained their perspective. While they continued to concentrate on manipulating outside perceptions, the power you now possess functions in areas beyond their control. You made contact with sources of strength that they are unable to access using any of the methods at their disposal. You linked with truths that don't need upkeep to endure, while they spent their lives sustaining delusions. Position, resources, and influence may naturally flow toward you, but they do not give you your unshakable, able power. Rather, it arises from alignment with a truth so fundamental that opposing it becomes opposing reality itself, a battle no entity can sustainably wage regardless of short-term advantages. The awakening quickens now. More defenders come forward every day. Those who planned campaigns against you suffer unanticipated repercussions. The systems they controlled change in ways they cannot stop. The truth they wish to conceal spreads into forests they cannot swiftly clear in order to preserve their meticulously crafted reality. The natural emergence of what always existed under artificial limits and is now unraveling before our eyes is what has brought your time, not willpower or strategic genius. The cosmos itself is now working in your favor, not as a conclusion, but as the start of opportunities that were previously unthinkable in the circumstances that your opponents battled to preserve. They've had enough of the manipulation and are disgusted by what was done to you. With every day that goes by, every new discovery, and every failed attempt to keep control of a narrative that has escaped containment and is now rewriting itself in accordance with higher principles than human agenda, their numbers increase.